Hi, I'm David Samples from ICF Walls, the Ozarks in Sparta, Missouri, just south of Springfield in the beautiful Ozarks. So there is a product called a Walabot that we're going to use. If you've woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you just can't sleep, and you turn on TV and you watch late night TV, you'll see the Walabot advertised. That's how I got mine. And so I thought, well, I wonder if this works on ICF Walls, because none of the other stud finders will work on an ICF wall. And so I bought their entry-level one, and it works. You can find the webs on the ICF wall with the Walabot. So I'm not getting paid to advertise for Walabot, but you can look it up yourself. I'm going to show you some other techniques that you can use to find the stud in the ICF wall. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. Hope you find it interesting. So you're going to grab one nail. I mean, it's just barely bigger than a needle, so it's not going to leave a very big mark. But guess what? We don't care how big the mark is. We want to find the web. So what you do, you throw those down on the floor, and you find your nail that you had, and we're going to try to find where the web is. I don't really care what it's going to do to my wall. My wife does. But I don't really care what it's going to do to my wall, because I'm going to put that clock back up here. So you're just going to take your hammer and just... Okay. Obviously, there's no web there. How do I know? My sheetrock is a ½ inch thick. The foam that covers up this web is a ½ inch thick. So if you go more than an inch if you drove that nail more than an inch into the wall, you did not find a stud. You did not find a web. Look how big the hole is that was left. It's not very big. Okay. And I'm going to show you ways to fix that in just a minute. So now what I want to do is I want to go over some space and see where I'm going to find that web. And what I usually do is I just go about an inch. So I'll go about an inch over. Okay, more than an inch again. There's no web there. I'll go about an inch over. Something solid there. And why do I only go an inch? If I go more than an inch, I mean over this way. Because the web is 1.5 inches wide. So if I miss it here and go an inch, I'm going to hit part of the web if it's close to that one hole. Okay, so the same thing here. So I found the web. It won't go in any further. There's not just foam behind it. So let's go over and we'll see exactly where the web started. So let's move back here about half. Still there. So let's move back just a little bit more. It's still there. I barely missed it on that second shot. So I know that between this hole going that way, 1.5 inches, I've got that web. So let's just measure. So about right there would be more than 1.5 inches. It's gone. So right in here, 1.5 inches, it's just like this. You would find this web. Now guys, you say, well, David, that's plastic. That's not going to hold anything. This part of the web, 1.5 inches wide, which is exactly like a 2x4, this web, this stud, is engineered to hold a screw with as much or more holding power than a 2x4. Notice I said a screw and not a nail. Okay, trim, things like that, it will hold with just these finish nails that I'm using to find the web. But if you're going to hold something big and heavy, you don't want to use a nail, not even a ring-shaped nail. You want to use a screw, okay? And it will hold with more holding power than a 2x4. So this is another way that I want to show you that you can find the web, that piece of plastic that we were using that acts as a stud. And let's say that I need to hang something, but I don't want to mess up, something that's on the wall, or I don't want to leave a hole in the wall because this nail or this holder needs to be a precise placement, and you can't expose or you can't make more and more holes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way down to the baseboard, and we're going to do the same type of a thing that we did before when we were looking at the wall. I'm going to show you two different ways. I have wood trim, okay? It's stained wood trim. I don't care how good the painters are and how good the finishers are. If you look, you're going to be able to find where a nail is And these are going to be easier because they should have been cleaned off first. There's a nail here, there's a nail here, there's a nail here, there's a nail here. There's a nail here, and there's a nail here. So I know that there's a web right there, because the trim carpenters, when they were putting this up, they would have looked to see where the sheetrock hangers put their screws. The sheetrock hangers would have looked to see where the webs were, the markings on the wall that said either Fox Blocks or Nudura or whoever your web manufacturer is, or your form manufacturer. And so they would have found that. So now I can kind of take for granted that there is a web right there. Let's find out. So I'm going to take my same trim nail. I'm going to put it right up here, right on top of this trim, okay? Just like that. And I'm going to make my same tiny little hole. And guess what? There it is. There's the web. So I could take my tape measure and I could measure over 8 inches one way or the other and know that that's where the web's going to be. I'm not going to poke holes in the wall just to show you, okay? But I have left a hole in the wall. Can you see it there? But let's say that I'm wrong and that my painter or my stain guy or whatever is, he is the best in the world, and he covers that stuff up to where you cannot see, you cannot find a nail. So what we're going to do is the same thing. We're just going to take a random place where I lay this down right on top of the trim and look for, there's nothing there. Okay, so there's no web there because I went more than an inch into the wall and there was nothing behind it. So I'm going to go 1 inch one way or the other. I'm going to go right here about an inch. I'm going to lay it down. No web. I'm going to go an inch again. I hit something solid. So let me go back a little bit and see if I've just found it or if I'm in the middle of it. Okay, it's not there. So I've just barely found the edge of it. If I go over here about 3/4 or so, there's my web. This is the one that I've had for about a year, and I'm going to show you how it works. You take it and it's got a little sticky part here, and you stick it to your phone. Okay, you connect the Walabot to your phone, go to the Walabot app, and then it's going to ask you for all of the different connectings and the approvals and all the other stuff that we have to do now. And then it asks you, do you want to use, do you want this to do for a concrete wall or a stud wall? Now you could do for a concrete wall because we have concrete walls, but what we're trying to find is before the concrete wall. So don't choose concrete wall, okay? Because this is just a glorified stud wall at this point. It is styrofoam, I'm sorry, it's sheetrock, it's styrofoam, and then it's this plastic web. Now the problem is the Walabot is not designed to find plastic webs, and especially not just an inch below the surface. So what you do is it's got 3 different choices that you can make in here of things that you want it to scan. You have to tell it on this particular model, you have to tell it that you want to use the expert mode. And all that it's really going to do is show the difference in density. So when it finds the web here, and I'll show you in just a minute, it kind of just shows up as a glob, like a blob. There's something that behind me right here that's more dense than what it was an inch that side or an inch that side. Okay, so we're going to choose stud wall. We're going to choose drywall instead of lath and plaster. And then it's going to say you have to calibrate this to your wall. And whatever you do with the Walabot, you have to recalibrate it, whether you're going to go on a stud wall or an ICF wall or concrete wall or whatever. If you change from one wall to the next, you have to recalibrate it. Okay, so I'm going to choose expert, and it gives me that view that just has the that kind of a blob. So like I said, there is a wall, there is a stud right there. Now I'm going to go, and about 8 inches later, oh look, there's another one. And there's another one. Okay, so this is something that you can use to find the webs, just like we did, you know, manually looking with our little nail trying to figure it. I will tell you though, it's not perfect every single time. So if you went to the expense of buying your Walabot, you needed a nail right there, and you found, whoo, there's a nail, there's a web right there too, and it can't be anyplace else, and you drive your nail, I'm sorry if there's not a web there. Okay, I'm telling you, it's really, really good. It's the coolest thing. It's only, I've bought every single web stud finder that you can buy. This is the only one I've ever seen that actually finds the web in an ICF wall. Okay, so we've shown you several different methods. The easiest way is just to say it's going to be hanging on the sheetrock, and we're going to use the molly bolts. We're going to use the other things that you can buy from any hardware store to hang something like you would on just regular sheetrock. The second thing is to use just a finish nail. You can use a bigger nail too, but it's going to leave a bigger hole. So if you can find a finish nail, that's best. Either do it on the wall, you'll find it. 8 inches later, you'll find another one, or go down to your base trim. That's the third way, or the fourth way, or the fifth way, or whatever number that we're on. And then, of course, the most expensive way is to use the Walabot. It's really cool. I don't get paid anything to do the Walabot commercials, okay? So if you do it, you're doing it on your own. So we hope that you find this useful. That is one of the questions that we get all the time. It's one of the easiest questions to answer, but one of the hardest things to understand whenever you haven't done it before. So hope you subscribe to our channel. We'll see you the next time. And remember, ICF, because your house should work as hard for you as you do for it.